All right, everybody, what is going on? This episode 530 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And today, we're going to talk some Georgia Southern. I haven't talked about them in a while. Want to do a little bit of housekeeping real quick. Try to move a little bit of things around. Give a shout out to a particular Discord that is just up and running. I think you guys who are Georgia Southern fans will absolutely love this Discord. We'll talk about that first, but I want to later on in the show talk about this 2023 spring football roster because this roster is looking really, really good. So I'm going to get into that, give you my thoughts and opinions on the roster, and go from there. If it's your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. It's just been great. Every time I do an upload or I just put out something, even if it's on YouTube or Rumble, you guys are coming out to support. You watch the episodes, you watch the videos, you watch the shorts, even on my other channel. I really appreciate you guys for the support. I cannot thank you guys enough. And we're just going to continue to keep it rolling, even in the off season. Speaking of that, the football is in the off season, even though right around the corner, we're going to have spring football in about 2 months. Time just flies. Even in the NFL, the combine is about to start. It's crazy, right? But Georgia Southern now has another Discord you want to jump into. One of my moderators that was in the First and Frame Rates Discord is now opened up a Georgia Southern Sports Hub. I would put the link. I don't know if I have the link, but because I'm not sure if I'm authorized to send the link because I'm not one of the guys that like moderation or anything of that nature. But the Georgia Southern Sports Hub, Discord is up and running. I think it's phenomenal Discord from what it looks like. Those guys over there are basically looking at everything Georgia Southern. Now over here in my Discord, it turned into more of Georgia Southern talk, but I know that my platform is not necessarily all Georgia Southern. So I recommend you guys to go over there because they're doing a way much more better in-depth job of running the those type of things. So go over there. I'm pretty sure that Jacob will have the link out there on his Twitter. But I will try to have all the information down in the description. If I could, I have a link to his Twitter or whatever the case may be. Find out what that Discord is. Over there, they're doing a phenomenal job of getting all types of Georgia Southern stuff out, not just the football stuff. You're talking about golf, basketball, anything sports related, even education wise. These guys are doing great when it comes to that. They're doing a great job with this Discord. I'm sitting here looking at it right now. I know it's called Georgia Southern Sports Hub. I highly recommend it. If I was you, I would highly recommend jumping into it. Now, as far as my Discord, it'll probably stay the same for a while. There may be some changes because I don't want to be like being, putting duplicate information out from that point of view. Because I do more than just Georgia Southern stuff. I also do Atlanta Falcons stuff. I do a little bit of gaming stuff, and I have another Discord for that's untouched. I may try to merge the two. You never know. I'm just going to keep that out there. Hopefully you guys will stay put if you guys are into the more of the stuff that I do here. But Georgia Southern, definitely go over there. Now, I know I just said a lot. That's a handful. But it's Georgia. I'm going to say it one more time. It is Georgia Southern Sports Hub. Great Discord. I've been over there for the past few days. Phenomenal work they're doing over there. So check that out. I am on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. If this is your first time here, I welcome you. I also, the show is also bought by BetUS. Click that link down in the description. Put down $100. Give you 125% bet book bonus. You can bet on all things sports related. I don't want to get too much into that. I want to get into this roster. I really want to let you guys know what is going on with this team. I'm going to start on the defensive side first because we know the offense is going to be explosive. It was last year. Cal Van Treese and those guys threw for over 4,000 yards. Was one of the top passers in the country. Did a lot of things. Could have been a little bit more, successful in the win column. but it all falls back on the defense because the defense was not necessarily the best, especially as far as tackling. So we're going to talk about the defense first. And I'm just going to skim through the roster, give you my thoughts and opinions about certain guys that may jump out on this roster. So we may be in a situation where I'm talking about pretty much every player, but I'm going to skim through it and I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on this roster as a whole because I think this roster absolutely improved. So let's go ahead and get into this. The first person that you're going to see on this roster is Devon Ferguson. If you know anything about him, we talked about him. It's one of the transfers that came over from Bowling Green, had a phenomenal season up until he was injured. He's going to be a really huge asset for the Georgia Southern Eagles. Not only the fact that he came from the MAC when he was like rated one of the top MAC players in the conference, he has 7 years of experience. That's a lot when it comes to football in college. Look at Ty Bradley Glenn, one of those guys who's been around so much. Even though he wasn't able to play as much, Ty Bradley Glenn brought so much knowledge to the game and helped out a lot of players. Hopefully, Devon Ferguson will be able to be on the field more, and that will help out as well. We got Tyler Bride coming back, another senior, so that's another defensive back that's out there. Played very well last year. TJ Smith is another guy from Kansas State, redshirt junior. Love to see this guy come to Georgia Southern. I saw some of his plays. Very electric when it came to him touching the football. I would not be surprised if you see this guy on special teams. I mean, he's a pretty good baller. Love to see that. Cam Williams, another guy that came from Washington. This is one of Coach the defensive coordinator. Oh man, I done lost my train of thought already. But our defensive coordinator came from Washington. Cam Williams is a guy under him, so it's good to see that type of lineage or that type of pipeline come down to Georgia Southern. So that's great. Jalen Denton, another guy from Ole Miss. Love to see him. He played a little bit last year, did some good things. Anthony Wilson, this guy was tackling all over the field last year. Had a pretty good game. I think it was against JMU. So bringing that back in, you got to think all these guys are juniors and seniors. Ashton Whitner was on the scouting team. He's a redshirt freshman now. I thought this was going to be a really big pickup for the Georgia Southern Eagles when he was recruited. I still believe that. You see him standing at 6 foot 200, pretty good size for him. Can't wait to see if he develops into the guy I thought he would. And I don't think it's going to take much to do so. Tyrell Davis, shout out to him, 6'1", 195, redshirt sophomore from Harrisburg, North Carolina. I want to see him get out there on the field as well. A lot of good things I could see in this kid as well. I'm still young. He's only a redshirt sophomore, so he didn't play that much last year. But at 6'1", 195, I want to see that type of person or that type of kid on the field with that size and strength. I want to see what he does out there. Then you got Seth Robinson, Demel Hickman. This is another guy from East Carolina. He was the one that transferred over once we lost what's his name? Green. Yeah, when we lost Gerald Green went to East Carolina. We got Daniel Hickman in return. Mark Stampley, sophomore out of Peachtree City, Stars Mill, very decorated player in high school. This kid turned around and done a very good job of showing what he can do. Had some ups and downs, but that final game in the bowl game, he showed what he was capable of, and he actually showed that he progressed throughout the season. So can't wait to see what he does. Mari Wingard is back. Jalen Barber is another one that's back. It's going to be good to see him. I heard a few good things about him as well. Justin Meyer. We got Jack Ferguson. Let's see. Chase Dow Watson. He played a good bit as well. Kevin Speed is a kid that I was kind of interested in because especially when I saw him play some of his high school ball, he played quarterback, and this guy had some speed to him. I mean, Kevin Speed, he lives up to the name based on some of the clips I've seen. So redshirt freshman from Cairo, Georgia. I want to see how he plays out if he does get some playing time on the field. Chandler Dow Watson. I don't know if these two are related. They probably are. I'm sorry if I don't know, but this is interesting, very interesting. They must be they're from the same area, but want to see what he can do as well if he gets some playing time. Treston Jordan, Tracy Hill Jr., Let's see, Andrew Douglas. Let's see, Amar Jenkins. Chris Couch. I kind of skipped his name. We also have Isaac Walker, redshirt sophomore defensive lineman. Now we're getting into defensive lineman. Isaac Walker played a little bit last year. Saw some time. MJ Stroud is another guy who played a little bit as well. Was I think he played last year. I wanna say that. I know I heard that name a couple times. Braden Palmer, he's one of the freshmen that is coming in from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. Jacob Ferguson is a transfer from Iowa Western. I don't know where he's going to fit in just yet because he's a transfer. We got a lot of defensive linemen, but the fact that we did lose, a couple of guys, you're probably going to see some guys being rotated in and out. Jacob Ferguson, I just talked about him. Trevon Locke, redshirt junior, saw him get a little bit of playing time as well. Kai Teo, I remember talking about him when he was first recruited from Spring Valley, and I was kind of interested in him and see what he was going to be able to do. Latrell Bullard, he had an injury, but he was playing very well last year. Deshaun Davis stepped up as well in some moments. You also have Davion Rhodes, Christian Varner. He's back for his redshirt senior season. I want to say if I said this right. Elhaj Fall, redshirt freshman from Marietta. Miles Winslow, Kerryon Smith, from Fitzgerald. I think he played a little bit as well. He played pretty good. Big size guy, 6'3", 225. Love to see him up in the defensive tackle area, and I think he was able to rotate in and out as well. Now we at the kickers. My favorite kicker, Britton Williams, hopefully will be the starter. I love this kid. I remember when he played the first game he was in. He was special teams player of the week. Hopefully, if he gets the playing time, we will see that again. Chase Foster, Brennan Frank, I think I said that right, and Michael Lance. He transferred from Minnesota, as well as Frank. He transferred from Nebraska. Now we're going to the linebackers. Let's look at the linebackers here. I want to make sure I'm on the screen because I probably was off the screen. I want to apologize. Marquez Watson Trent is coming back. Played pretty well. He changed his number to number 1. Terrion Lee from Texas A&M linebacker. Now, this is one area that we really wanted to get some help in, and we got a lot of help. So we're going to talk about this. Terrion Lee from Tallahassee, Florida, by way of Texas A&M. He's going to be out there as a red shirt senior. Expect him to get a lot of playing time. Quadri Jackson and Kevon Glenn. I remember when these two guys came in together as transfers, one from North Carolina, other one from Florida State. All these guys have stepped up a good bit. There were times where you didn't know what they were going to be doing, but they did pretty well. Where am I? Devon Gilmore, linebacker from Wingate, another transfer that came over. Want to see what he's going to be able to do. Zaire Horton. That name seems like he's been around forever, but he's a redshirt freshman for Woodstock. So you got a lot of linebackers coming through. John Ferguson, Quincy Darnell, Reed Dedman is coming back. Jalen Jackson is another one's coming back. You got Jacob Hammond, Jeffrey Smith, Zach Blackwell, Nathan Tillman. Let's see. Jackson Wheeler, Gaines Wood, Colin Springer. Not to be confused with Dylan Springer, but he's back for a 6-year. We're going back into the long snappers now. I'm sorry. So Tillman, Wheeler, Woods, and Springer, and Lance, and all long snappers. I don't know where they're going to fit in. You have that many long snappers. I'm actually kind of confused with that, but coaches know better than I do. I'm just a guy behind the microphone. All right, let's see. Ethan Ingram, offensive lineman. Now, this is another place where coaches really wanted to get in the trenches. They wanted to get big, nasty guys that could push people around. And last year, they did a very good job. They had an offensive line that was able to protect Kyle Van Treese very well. I think they only gave up 4 or 5 sacks, and a couple of them wasn't necessarily their fault. Phenomenal job at the offensive line. We did lose an offensive line coach. We have a new one in. We're going to see how that plays out. But if this talent is just as good as it was, I think we're going to be okay. So it starts off with Ethan Ingram. You have Brian Miller, Chandler Strong, Aaron Pyron, I think I said that right. Rasheed Miller, he's going to be back. Colleen Williams. You also have Bryson Norris come from Coffeyville transfer. Nate Lewis is he was a freshman. Shout out to Nate Lewis and his family. I mean, these guys they seem like they're very supportive. Not saying that all the other families aren't, but I see them a lot on social media. Shout out to the Lewis family. They're also really big supporters of the show. Really, really appreciate them. Nate Lewis, hopefully we'll see him on the field a little bit as well. Corbett McGregor, another guy, redshirt freshman from Reedsville, Georgia. Khalil Crowder, 6th year from Carrollton, Georgia. Good, I don't want to go too far down. 6th year from Carrollton, Georgia, 6'1", 305. He's going to be returning. Let's see, Chaz Collins. He's going to be here for Statesboro. He's not that far. He's still at home, 6'6", 280. Pashawn Wembley. This guy has turned out to be a pretty special kid. He decided to put in the work. I'm not saying that everybody else hasn't, but he put in the work, and he ended up being a starter last year as a freshman and done very well for himself. Shout out to Pashawn Wembley, one of the few true freshmen that actually made a difference in this in last season. Bryson Broadway, we're going to forgive him from being at Georgia State. It's all right. You made the right choice. You're here at Georgia Southern. As a senior, hopefully you can bring some of that leadership to or that experience to the team as well. Casey Carter, sophomore, transfer from Garden City College, 6'7", 300. I mean, look at that. My God. I mean, dude's a monster. You got Griffin Carter, offensive lineman. Then you got Caleb Cook, another offensive lineman. Now we're going into the punters. One of these punters was actually pretty interesting because we talk about Matthew Daniel that came from West Virginia. That's awesome. But look at this one here. Alex Smith, 6'6", 215 from Melbourne, Australia. That is quite awesome to get a guy from that far away to come play at Georgia Southern. And we have the other punter. His name is Walker Bradbury. So that we got some pretty decent punters. They're going to see what they're going to be able to do. Now, let's talk about the offense in general. Let's talk about some skill players. Let's get to these quarterbacks. Davis Brin, heard some great things about him through a reliable source. Looks like he's going to be QB1, 6th year out of Bourne, Texas, by way of Tulsa. Man, if this kid is everything that I hear he's going to be, it's going to be phenomenal. Once again, we can throw the ball around to these great wide receivers and running backs that we're going to be and tight ends that we're going to be talking about in a second. Davis Dallas, you already know about him. Really big on him when I saw him coming out of high school. Connor Silgelski, one of the guys who's been around since the other regime and actually can play some pretty decent football. Colton Fitzgerald, high praises of him. A lot of people say that he has all the talent and the tools to be QB1. I want to see how that plays out as well because I've heard some great things about him. And another guy I heard some great things about is this kid, J.C. French. Heard that he was just as good as Davis Brin and Colin Fitzgerald. I want to see it. I want to see it because if we're going to be having guys who are like Davis Brin, 6th year, possibly don't have to get another quarterback to transfer in again and actually see some talent of a Fitzgerald or J.C. French, or even in some cases, Allen or Kyle Toole come in, we're going to be in pretty good hands because all of these guys here have transferred from other areas. They have some experience being in somewhat slightly bigger colleges. You know, the Bo Allens of the world been in Kentucky. Kyle Toole's been on the same level in the Sun Belt at Troy. It's going to be good to see that. Let's talk about these running backs. Terrence Gibbs, 6'2", 205 redshirt freshman out of Winter Park, Florida, was a 4-star recruit coming out of Florida, decided to come to Georgia Southern. We gotta put this on notice here. I want you guys to understand. We don't have all the depth at running back that we had before. We got some guys who probably could still play. We also have to understand that there may be a time that every running back on this roster will touch the ball. You have 5 running backs, 6 running backs. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 6 running backs here, and coach is not afraid to put guys in the game. That's one thing you notice about a lot of these redshirt freshmen who did very well. If Terrence Gibbs is getting to the point where he's healthy enough to run once again, because we've seen him in uniform a couple times, I want to see what this kid can do because he wasn't a 4-star recruit for anything, for nothing. I mean, something's there. So you also have Tyler Jordan, a guy who played very well in the Appalachian State game. Jalen White, you already know what he can do. I can't wait to see him get back out there again. Robert Edwards, redshirt freshman from Columbus, Georgia. Heard some good things about him as well. Want to see what he can do. And Terrion Dixon is the other running back. Big time pickup here from Kentucky, tight end Keaton Upshaw from from like I said, from Kentucky, 6'7", 250. Davis Brin and the other quarterbacks will have somebody nice to throw the ball to with a target like that. And I'm actually surprised. I didn't know J.J. McCaffrey is back. Well, he's on the roster here. It's good to this is going to be nice to see this tight end roster actually get some playing time and actually put some numbers up. Because J.J. McCaffrey did very well last year. He surprised a lot of people getting some production out there. Good transition from wide receiver to tight end, and he's done a really good for himself. Him and Keaton Upshaw, Bo Johnson, Ethan Durham, and Dylan Snyder, Evan Lester, you got all of these guys who can play. All these guys can play pretty good tight end, and I want to see what these guys can do. There's a lot of talent here, so it's a lot of experience. Redshirt senior, 6-year senior, redshirt senior, another senior, and you got two guys that are redshirt sophomores that are going to be in waiting, that's going to be putting that work in. So see here you have the Ethan Durham and the Dylan Snyder and Evan Lester. Those guys going to be, especially Snyder and Lester, going to be the guys in waiting. But right now, we got a pretty good look at tight end now. This looks really good. Now, let's get to the wide receivers, because this is one thing that we've done very well at is picking up wide receivers. This kid, Jalen Barden, from that by way of Pitt, he's back home. He's from Valdosta, not too far from Statesboro. It's good to be back home, and I think he's going to be much more comfortable playing in a system like this. I saw some of his plays at Pitt, catching balls from Cody Pickett. Not only that, seeing him doing some things, on tape. He has a lot of potential to be really good in this offense. Durden Burgess, I don't need to say anything else about him. We can go to the next person. If you know anything about top 10s in ESPN or anything about this wide receiver core before he went down with the injury, Durden Burgess was that guy. And it's good to pick up another guy, 6-year receiver, coming from the ACC down to another ACC guy along with Jalen Barton from Syracuse, coming down to play for Georgia Southern, 6'2", 200. It's good to have him here. Caleb Hood is back for a 5th year. Good to see him. Watch him. He can catch some footballs. You may see him on special teams as well. Darius Lewis, redshirt senior. You also have Sam Kennerson coming back from an injury. Once again, I said this kid here was going to be really good, and he did a phenomenal job transferring from quarterback to wide receiver. He was on his way, went down in the Nebraska game, was doing real good things in that game as well. So it's going to be great to see him back. DeAndre Buchanan, but true freshman coming in. A lot of praise of him when we said we was going to pick him up. So I can't wait to see how he plays out. TJ Lewis, 6'4", 185, good size, redshirt sophomore from Brunswick, Georgia. Glenn Academy, not too far from Georgia Southern as well. Josh Dallas, the twin brother of Davis Dallas. I heard that he was going to get some playing time as well last year. It's going to be interesting to see how they put him in. And what can you say about these next two guys? Marcus Sanders and Joshua Thompson, two true freshmen who made something happen within the playing time they had. Marcus Sanders looked good at 6'3", 195. You also turn around and you got Joshua Thompson. Every time he went down the field, he beat everybody. Guy got speed, enough speed to block punts and everything under that umbrella. Dalen Cobb, another kid, I watched some film on him. He looked really good as well. And you just look at this from Dalen Cobb, Alex Bowen, Brooks Pangle, the former quarterback, Alex Bowen, a former quarterback, Parker Self from Florida State, Graham Williams, good to see him. Want to see what he can do for Monticello. And we got Lawson Bachelor, 6'4", 205 from Augusta, Georgia, played at Presbyterian. And that is the roster, everybody. I know I went through the entire roster. And this wide receiver core, just like the tight ends and the quarterbacks, we're going to be throwing the ball a lot. We got a lot of talent here. And I like that I started off with like the fact that I did start off with the defense, because now you see what type of defense that we're trying to build with Will Harris. I got his name right now. With Will Harris and Kevin Whitley, and you turn around and you see what we're gonna have with the Ryan Applins, and you turn around with he's the assistant coach with tight ends and receivers, and you got Brian Ellis, the offensive coordinator. Turner West, he is the special teams coordinator. Linebackers coach Aaron Swans. Rip Warren is defensive line coach. I want to see what Rip Warren can do with this defensive line, because we got some guys now. Taylor Reed is the new running backs coach. It's going to be really cool. Let's see. Also, we got TJ Woods going to be the offensive line and a running game coordinator. So, can't forget, I'll be remiss. I cannot forget talking about BJ Johnson. He's the wide receiver coach. You see all this other stuff that's going on with these receivers. BJ Johnson has been recruiting. It's going to be really good to see what he can do with these wide receivers. And it's good to see a former alumni come back and be the coach. So we got a lot of other guys here that I don't really I can go all day naming. It's a lot of people here that's a part of this staff, and they're all making this go, and it is phenomenal to see how everybody is doing, and how well they're doing in making this team go and this program go in the right direction. You really can't knock it. You really can't. These guys are doing everything they can to get this team back to the prominence that they used to be. I want to see this team win some some Sun Belt titles. I want to see this team win some bowl. This program win some bowl games. Get back to what we used to be. And I think with Coach Helton and company, everybody from the volunteer assistants all the way up to the head coach, the special liaison to the program. I mean, everybody that's doing something that's on this list that you really don't know much about, they're putting in the work. Even from the nutrition people, the athletic directors, the head, the athletic trainer. It's all a good thing. So I'm going to get up out of here because I could just ramble on and on about what we see. But let me know what you guys think, man. Coach Clay Helton and them, man, in the spring football roster. And I would be remiss. There's still some guys we haven't talked about. The KD Dorseys of the world. He's not on the roster yet, but he's probably not going to be here until after the high school semesters are over. So we're gonna have some more guys coming in once high school the year is over. It's gonna be really interesting. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've said enough. This went a little bit longer than I thought I would, but when you're talking about a bunch of kids that's on the roster, it's bound to happen. Shout out to Coach Clay Helton and everybody under that umbrella. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, also Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Click that link down in the description if you want to bet on some games, put some wages out there. Bet book bonus if you put down $100, 125%. Also, click all the links down there if you want to catch me on Twitter at VFBaller. If you want to donate via Cash App and or PayPal, all the links are down there as well. Thank you guys for the support. I cannot thank you guys enough. I'm going to get out of here. It's almost 28, 29 minutes on this episode. I've done enough. I've said enough. I will see you guys on Wednesday. You guys take it easy. You guys be blessed. Peace.